I want you to imagine you're a ninja in the Naruto universe. Maybe you're a Chunin, a Jonin, maybe even higher. You've been enlisted to fight in a war, and you're in a battalion along with over 1,000 other shinobi. You're getting ready to head out to the battlefield when suddenly the yellow flash of the leaf appears out of nowhere, carrying with him a giant-tailed beast bomb. He disappears from the battlefield just as quickly as he arrived, leaving the nuke to explode in front of all of you. And even if you manage to survive the first blast, he returns with another, and another, and another, until everyone is wiped out. How many shinobi in the Naruto universe have the means to counter something like that? How powerful would Minato be if instead of dying young, he lived to realize his full potential? What if Obito never got crushed by that boulder, and instead of giving Kakashi a Sharingan, kept both, and awakened double Kamui? What if Rin never jumped in front of Kakashi's Chidori, and instead learned how to master the power of the Three Tails? And what if Kakashi, unburdened by the chakra drainage caused by the Sharingan, was also trained by his father, Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang of the Leaf? Team Minato had a frightening amount of potential that we never saw realized because of a series of tragic events that befell each of the members. But thankfully, the series gives us a glimpse of what could have been possible. And from that, we can have a little fun imagining just how powerful this team could have been. And spoiler alert, they very likely would have been the strongest team in Naruto history, and would have even been capable of defeating shinobi legends like Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha with very little effort. Let's start with Kakashi because he's an incredibly interesting case. Not only did he graduate from the academy at age 5, he became a Chunin just 1 year later at age 6, and a Jonin at age 12 or 13. Kakashi was destined to be one of the most naturally talented and capable shinobi in the history of the Leaf Village, even creating his own high-level ninjutsu, the Chidori, as a kid. However, following his mission at Kanabi Bridge, Kakashi lost an eye, gained a Sharingan, following Obito's perceived death. Before that, Kakashi also lost his father, a legendary shinobi known as the White Fang of the Leaf. In many ways, Kakashi's potential trajectory was severely altered by these events, and the trauma not only weighed heavily on his psyche, causing a deep depression, but also affected his physical chakra reserves as well. If you ever want to know why Kakashi's chakra reserves aren't as strong as they could have been, remember that chakra is a combination of mental and physical energy. So while Kakashi was granted a Sharingan that gave him access to a wide variety of new abilities, it also held him back in many ways. But instead of saying that the Sharingan made him weaker, even though there's a strong argument that it did, especially initially, I think it's more accurate to say that it changed what kind of shinobi Kakashi became on the battlefield. There are plenty of shinobi who are strong, but Kakashi stands out because of his Sharingan, which made him more precise and analytical in combat. It makes him better suited for specialized mission requests, and made him a perfect candidate for the Anbu Black Ops. Combined with all of the abilities afforded to him by the Sharingan, including copying jutsu and casting illusions, Kakashi became the type of shinobi who was good at just about everything. However, this version of Kakashi is noticeably lacking, or rather, there is a wall keeping him from reaching his ultimate potential. At the beginning of the series, he is often stated to be comparable to Kabuto, which isn't particularly impressive. He has trouble keeping up with Itachi, and is terrified of shinobi like Orochimaru. And given Kakashi's reputation, I think he should be a bit stronger than what he is portrayed to be. And perhaps if he never acquired the Sharingan, and ideally was trained by his father Sakumo Hatake, who is stated to be stronger than the Sannin around the period of the Second Shinobi World War, perhaps he would be. Granted, none of the Sannin were in their prime at that point, but it's still a huge statement to be made about Sakumo's strength. Had Kakashi been fully trained by Sakumo, I have no doubt that he'd be on par with the Sannin by part 1. The Kabuto comparisons never would have been a thing, and he would have had a better showing against Itachi and other members of the Akatsuki. Not only that, but this version of Kakashi would also have been trained by Minato, and would have had Obito as a sparring partner. I think this Kakashi still would have been heavily skilled, but more reliant on raw power than the version of Kakashi that we have. Instead of using his Sharingan to find an opening, this Kakashi would simply just make one. And sure, There's definitely a trade-off with Kakashi not being able to copy the 1000 jutsu he added to his moveset, but let's be honest, he barely used those jutsu anyway in the series. He also wouldn't have access to Kamui like he did in the original series, but here's the thing, he wouldn't even need it. He'd be plenty strong already without it, easily high Kage level. All the time he spent trying to master the Sharingan would go back into training and honing his own techniques. Who knows? Maybe Minato could teach him the Flying Raijin, and he wouldn't even need the Kamui. There's literally no limit to how strong this version of Kakashi could theoretically be. And shockingly, he'd be nowhere near the most powerful member in this version of Team Minato. Speaking of Kamui, let's move on to Obito. Now this is where things get very scary. Obito in canon had enough chakra to summon the nine-tailed fox and give Hokage Minato a run for his money at just around 14 years old. Granted, he had Hashirama cells amping him up, but it's still impressive. Now imagine he has both Sharingan, that's double Kamui, can warp at twice the speed, phase for longer periods of time, and has access to the Susanoo. And if you really want to get nasty with this, Obito could have still had control over Kurama and make him his own personal summoning. Anyone fighting this man would have to worry about Kurama, a perfect Susanoo, and a man that not only can teleport at insane speeds, but is virtually impossible to hit. And to top it all off, this version of Obito would likely have Minato to help him master his space-time ninjutsu. Essentially, this will be one of the strongest shinobi ever conceptualized in the Naruto verse. I doubt Hashirama and Madara together would be able to take him down. Kishimoto wrote it so that Ten Tails Obito would not be able to use the Kamui, and although this is explained why in the verse, many of us believe it was simply a nerf because a Ten Tails Jinchuriki with the power of Kamui would just be simply overpowered. But this too would be just as overpowered. And to make things even crazier, Obito's Sharingan would have the power to also control another tailed beast, the three tails inside of his partner, Rin. I imagine this version of Rin to be able to control the three tails Isobu at some point. For those of you who forgot, the three tails is a turtle-like creature that uses water style and other unique abilities. Water in many series, like Avatar The Last Airbender, has healing properties. So not only would Rin be a powerful shinobi with the power of a Jinchuriki at her disposal, but potentially, I see her having a jutsu similar to Kisame. Specifically that giant water dome he used in the fight against Killer Bee. As a medic, this water dome could be used for healing the wounds of her allies, as well as flushing out or drowning the enemy. Rin would be equally as effective being a tank on the front lines, or as a support member capable of recovering her allies when they're injured or low on chakra. And let's not even get into the crazy combos she could pull off with Kurama. I want you all to visualize something. Team Minato declares war on the entire shinobi world. The entire allied shinobi forces are tasked with fighting them. All 80,000 ninja assemble just like they do against Obito, Kabuto, and Madara. They are about to set off to find their targets when suddenly Minato teleports into the middle of the alliance, carrying a tailed beast bomb created by Kurama or Isobu, and teleports away before it explodes, decimating the entire allied shinobi army. If Minato could teleport the Ten Tails' tail beast bomb away into the ocean, he could easily teleport multiple blasts from Kurama and Isobu. The combination of Minato using Sage Mode to track the enemy, Obito using Kamui to warp the kunai for Minato to teleport to throughout the army, and Kurama and Isobu generating multiple tail beast bombs for Minato to continuously drop on them, Team Minato could theoretically wipe out the entire ninja world in a matter of seconds. What could they possibly do to stop them? It's not hard to imagine a timeline where this actually takes place either. Obito already lost faith in the world and waged war in order to achieve Project Tsukunomi. Kakashi could have easily turned to the dark side after seeing what the Shinobi Code did to his father and his teammates. Rin was literally turned into a weapon of war. I imagine if she had lived, she'd harbor some resentment over that, as would her teammates. And after seeing what all his students have endured, and what his son had endured, Minato could begin to lose hope. In Naruto's psyche, he admitted that as long as the shinobi culture exists, peace may be unattainable. There were even some fan theories about Minato being the leader of the Akatsuki before pain was revealed. I'm just saying, in another timeline, all of this could have been very possible. Minato died long before he reached his full potential as a shinobi. I firmly believe that if he was alive for another 10 to 20 years, he would have been on par with Hashirama and Madara. His combination of flying Raijin, Rasengan, sealing jutsu, and other techniques already made him revered across the world before he even became the Hokage. With more time to perfect what he already has and potentially develop new jutsu, there's no telling just how powerful he could have become. And the idea of a single team having two of the greatest geniuses in the history of the series, two-tailed beasts, one of them being Kurama, an Uchiha that can access the full powers of the Mangekyo Sharingan and use Kamui to the max, along with the Susanoo, a Jinchuriki medic, and two space-time gods that can coordinate their teleportation, is the most frightening thing in the Naruto universe. In a different timeline, they really would have made the perfect team, and nobody would have been able to stop them. But that does it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this alternate version of Team Minato. Are they as powerful as I think they are? Does that darker timeline seem like a legitimate outcome if things had played out differently? Please comment down below, and while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.